Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Politoxic podcast exclusively on the Siren Network. And today, as you can see, we have a fellow Siren Network
Yes, Siren.
podcaster, collaborator, Siren in the house, Harry Dunn.
What's up,
Dude,
y'all?
it's just, the fact that we can call you a friend after years of just watching you, listening to you inspire us to continue to fight for our democracy in what feels like more and more dystopian days. It's just an honor to have you as a friend and chatting with us today on an episode that we are all shaken, right? I mean, I think we are all shook, shaken by what is going on in America right now. I mean, honestly, if you're not shook already, then I don't know, babes. Like,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so Harry, break it down for us. Like, what is going on? Where this is going to air on Tuesday, so God only knows what's going to happen between
But in
today,
the
Monday,
meantime,
and
yeah.
Tuesday. But what are your thoughts on everything going down as an American, as a law enforcement professional? Just what are your thoughts on Minneapolis right now as it stands?
Yeah, so the first thing I thought of thanks for having me. Y'all are great. I love y'all.
We love you.
But the first thing I thought when the reports of the shooting, I saw and I didn't wanna watch it, and I resisted watching it for about 2 hours. I was like, "I have to see this." I really did not want to, and it's as horrific as I thought it would be. It was a murder in the streets. The biggest thing that came to my mind is this could be stopped if there was just a little bit of oversight from Congress. And that's the most frustrating part because there's supposed to be these checks and balances. Now we'll get to the rogue police officers and
Yeah.
Donald Trump's own Gestapo. We'll get that's all separate, but this could be stopped. There's so many ways that this could have been stopped. First of all, voting for Kamala, or and electing a different Speaker of the House, or just having members of Congress stand up, but they're supposed to be doing oversight. And then right before the House voted to fund the Department of Homeland Security, which includes ICE, with all of their lawlessness. And my just simple post that I put was, I am so sick of posting or tweeting or talking about this lawless fucking administration. They're just lawless. They don't care about the rules. They don't care about the laws. They don't care about the constitutions. They don't care about anything except for doing what they want to do, or what their leader, Donald Trump, wants them to do. And I'm just so sick of it because it's like, all right, again, all right, again, all right, what's next? And like you said, it's unfortunate. Yeah, we're recording this Sunday, and it's going to air
Sunday.
to. It's crazy to think that there's a possibility we might have to jump on again and talk about them possibly murdering somebody else because it's what they do. So
Yeah, I mean, right now, one of the bystanders who was filming, as of now, today's Sunday, this is where we're at, that we have to timestamp like
yeah,
Sunday Eastern Standard Time, because that's what's happening in America. One of the bystanders who filmed, one of the main ones you saw in all the angles of the video, she's in hiding right now.
yeah.
Let's just say that again. A person who was exercising her constitutional right is in hiding because they're arresting everyone else who is on the scene.
What did you think about the footage of them trying to snatch the phones of the bystanders? Like, when I watch this video of what happened, my question to you as a law enforcement officer, this feels like there was absolutely no training in any of this. Like, you watch the hysteria of how this execution went down. What do you think, as a trained officer of the law, is going on here? What do you think about
So when you're enabled and emboldened, trained or not, because I believe there are some trained officers there. There are, but there are a lot of people that are just 47 days of training, I believe, is what they get. But I do believe that there are more trained officers out there. The problem is when you have the person at the forefront in charge, whether it be Christy Nome or JD Vance, all the way up to Donald Trump, giving you the blanket to do whatever you want, the cover to say, you know what, just do it and you'll be fine. That's going to create, I don't care how trained you are, that just creates this mentality where, like, all right, all the means justify the ends. So it doesn't matter whatever you need to do, just bring this person in. And anybody that messes with you along the way, neutralize them. That's kind of like literally what they're saying. And all the Sunday shows, They're talking about, well, he was a peaceful protester. But what peaceful protester has a gun? Well, I thought they were pro Second Amendment. I mean, what he can't carry? I mean, it was a really, and the thing is, he didn't even have his gun out.
No.
He had his phone out, and every single footage and freeze frame and still footage, there was an agent that disarmed him and ran off the scene with his gun before they murdered him. So I mean, like, yes, there may be some trained officers out there, but training doesn't mean shit when people have the cover to do whatever they want to violate policy or to violate the law. Training doesn't matter at all. That's why I'm all for abolishing ICE because it's no amount of training that can fix this ideology of we can do whatever we want.
Thank you for saying that because I think that, for years, people on the left were saying abolish ICE, like
Yeah.
probably even during Obama's days, right? But I don't think it should be seen as radical to abolish ICE because right now the name is tainted, right?
Yeah.
Because yes, perhaps, yes, I don't think by saying abolish ICE, it means that you're saying we should just let every single person into the country
No.
with oversight, right?
Well, shit. You know what? If I may, you know what fixes the need for even ICE to exist? Having fucking a clear path to citizenship. How
Thank
about
you.
that? Like, I mean, people are waiting for to become citizens, contribute, and it's the studies show over and the numbers show over again that these immigrants are contributing members of society. They make our economy grow. They pay taxes. So having a clear path to citizenship would an expedited one, or not even an expedited, just a reasonable timeline for them to apply and become citizens. And we've been trying to do that since the majority of my adult life that I can remember. And it hasn't happened yet. Hell, getting a clear path to citizenship or a policy that actually works would abolish the need for ICE. We wouldn't need it because people would be here legally.
I think it's important to note, though, that a lot of the people that they are taking are US citizens, or they're going to their hearings and they're taking people who are doing the due process and doing the system the proper way and applying for citizenship. There isn't really, I mean, obviously they shot a white man it yesterday. So it's like
Yeah.
there isn't, I don't really think this is about immigration or doing something the proper way because it's very obvious that it's anyone who is against the Trump regime. And I think that's just so incredibly dangerous.
I was gonna ask you though, have y'all seen any videos of Europeans being detained and chased by ICE or Asian people? It's all black and brown people that are being
Yeah.
targeted.
Yeah. That's
So
why they're saying
that's part of their that's part of what they want to do too.
Yep.
yeah, they're
That's
saying slave
ethnic
catcher
cleansing,
yeah,
right?
slave catcher
Ethnic cleansing.
2.0. Slave catcher 2.0.
Yeah, and that's one of the frustrating parts because there are probably a lot of European people here that aren't here that are undocumented. I'm sure that there are, but they don't look like they're a harm. They look like what America, what this White House, what this administration wants. I mean, they post pictures of and they deliberately leave out black and brown people in pictures that they post. It's all about make America white again. And JD Vance is talking about you gotta they're making us feeling bad for being white. And nobody's saying that dumb shit. That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like, oh, I'm so sick of these assholes, man.
Never has that happened once, right? Like,
Never.
and a woman posted, I need to find her account. She said that she lives in the suburbs of Minneapolis and she broke it down for people what they're doing. Because I think there's a misconception among Americans who are like casually watching this that ICE has some kind of master list, and I use the word master for a reason. They have a
Yeah.
master list that's telling them, who to target. But what she said they're doing, and I wanted to hear from your perspective as someone who works in law enforcement and knows how this stuff works, like that they're running people's plates. And then if they see that they're brown or black, or they're just stopping cars, racial profiling because the Red Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court said they could do that. And they're just willy nilly just picking people up just based on that vibes, racist vibes, right? Have
Yeah.
you heard that?
Yeah, no, that's exactly, and you actually brought up what gave them the right to do it. The Supreme Court. They legally said that police officers or law enforcement can now profile based on the color of your skin. All right, so now we get a black president or not even a black president, a person that says, all right, white people are the enemy or people. Now we're gonna just go pull over every white person. Why'd you pull me over? Oh, you're white. You might be a domestic terrorist. So I mean, like, is that right too? But according to the logic the Supreme Court just said, right, all right, let's look at the statistics. Most domestic terrorists are white men. All right, so let's stop every single white man we see just because you're a white man. And let's see how long that policy stays in fucking place.
It's the same thing with the Second Amendment, right?
Yeah.
So we've been
Exactly.
hearing for years and years and years that Democrats are coming for your guns and Democrats don't want you to have guns. And we are seeing the right wing on television today saying that this man didn't have a right to have a gun when it was his right under the Constitution. So basically, what they're saying is we have a right to have guns and kill people and gun them down in the streets, but you don't. And so it just,
Don't.
hypocrisy of it all and watching it in real time is just like maddening to me.
But that's why it's important to always push back on the hypocrisy because, like, when Renee Nicole Good was murdered, they were saying that, if you impede law enforcement, then you will be dealt with. And that's what, Christy Nome said and JD, all of them said that. But Ashley Babbitt was wrongfully shot. They can't keep up. And it's only like, do as I say, not as I do. This administration doesn't, they want you to follow the rules and do whatever they say, and if it looks bad on them, they're just like, don't believe your lying eyes.
Yeah. So switching gears, we all watched the Jack Smith hearing this week,
Yeah.
and my question is, we're watching Stephen Miller and Chrissy Nome and all of these people go on TV calling protesters and citizens in Minnesota insurrectionists. And
Yeah.
you, as a person who survived January 6th, how do you feel with them comparing us to what happened to you that day?
So get to understand why a lot of people are, visibly angry and continue, but I it's just business as usual for me. I've been pissed off and disappointed in for 5 plus years since. So I'm glad that a lot of people are now feeling what I felt on day one. I'm still angry, but I'm just like to the point where what can we do about it? What can we do? Jack Smith was fantastic. I was so honored to just be there in the room supporting him. And that was one of my biggest things, being able to support him. And also just being able to sit in the room and look in the face of Republicans, and they couldn't even look at us. They didn't even look us in the eye. All four of us officers who testified the first time, we're still sitting there. So we're not backing down. We're still continuing to show up, which is challenging, And you saw like there was disturbances that happened in there. And, you know, a lot of people, and I'm not saying it's the wrong thing, would say, all right, fuck it, I'm done. Like, why? What's the point? What's the point of me continuing to show up? Nothing is happening. And I get it. I just don't have that in me. It's just like, all right, I'm going to die on this hill saying that y'all are wrong. January 6th was an insurrection. There were no patriots, that y'all weren't heroes. Y'all were terrorists. Y'all were domestic terrorists. Y'all attacked law enforcement and you tried to stop the peaceful transition of power where Joe Biden won the election. And I will always stand on that. But on Jack Smith's hearing, I was one of the things that I was really happy and I saw was Eric Swalwell. With Eric Swalwell, he came out and he said how much of a joke that they are, and that the Republic they hate Donald Trump and all of this stuff.
Yes.
Now, if you remember, not one Republican questioned or attempted to attack Jack Smith on the merits of his findings. They wanted to say, "Oh, well, why did you have to sign the oath twice?" Or, hey, were you spying on Republicans? Not what he found, but the actual, hey, maybe you shouldn't have, maybe you weren't legally there. All right, what about what he found there? How do you justify that? Not one Republican challenged the findings of what he found. And that's just so telling that it goes back to they know that they're wrong. They know they don't have a leg to stand on in this fight. And Jack Smith would brilliantly dog walk them if should they have attempted to do that.
Do you believe that if Jack Smith, if Trump had not been elected president, would Trump be in prison or at least us, home confinement if Jack Smith was able to actually continue his work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jack Smith said he had evidence. There's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. First of all, what we all saw was enough. I think the American public saw just on the surface what we watched on CNN or MS or your local channel, whatever. That is enough right there, what we saw, not to mention what he dug up and was able to find through like subpoenas and phone records and all that stuff. There was so much. I mean, just the call him pressuring Brad Raffensperger for the votes down in Georgia. That's criminal. That alone, right there. So what we saw was enough, absolutely. But that doesn't even include the things that we didn't see, the things that we didn't know about. Absolutely. And Donald Trump, Jasmine Crockett said it in the hearing. Donald Trump literally ran for president so he didn't go to jail. That is the only reason he ran for president. He don't want this job. You see him, he's falling asleep and he can't pay attention in cab. He's demented. He's a crazy, demented old man that just needs to go be put in a home. I don't know why the 25th Amendment hasn't been invoked against him yet.
I mean, so what do we do? I mean, that's a loaded question. But I have people, people come to me, they come to Vanessa, they come to you because they see us putting ourselves out there, talking about this stuff. And they say, okay, so what do we do? Because like Jack Smith couldn't continue his work. You're out there every day, Harry, telling people the truth, even though that is somehow increasingly feeling illegal to speak the truth in this country, which is
Yeah.
I can't believe it's no hyperbole to say that. It sounds dramatic.
That's Joe Biden's favorite word, hyperbole.
Hyperbole.
Every
Maybe
time
I
I hear
got it
that
from
word,
him. I got it from him. No hyperbole, folks.
but it's not hyperbole.
I
No,
love
no.
that's where I got it from, probably.
Yeah, yeah,
But
but
like,
no.
what the hell do we do? Like, we have 3 more years of this.
Yeah.
Even if we make it to the midterms, what the fuck do we do?
First of all, you have to acknowledge how we got in this place. And that's because a lot of people decided to say, fuck it, I'm sitting out this election, or I'm not voting for the woman, I'm not voting for the black woman, whatever. We have to acknowledge how we got here, first of all. And Donald Trump, yes, that's a whole different rabbit hole we can go down about Elon suppressing votes and the voting machines. That's a whole different thing. However, if there was overwhelming numbers of turnout that people that voted for Kamala, there wouldn't have been even a question of he couldn't. You can't cheat that type of energy or whatever. So first of all, we have to acknowledge how we got here. America put that motherfucker back in the Oval Office. So we have to acknowledge, not us, right? And nobody listened, we know, but Americans did that. Second of all, we have to learn to expect how do we fix it, right? Like your question. Well, first of all, Elon Musk isn't going to jail, not with this administration, not Pam Bondi. Nobody in the cap, JD Vance. I mean, they're striking the boats off the coast in the Caribbean and off the coast of South America. They're destroying boats and all this. Nobody's going to jail for that. We have to acknowledge that because what? Who's going to prosecute them? It'd be Pam Bondi. All right. So how do we put any type of oversight or some type of brakes on this administration? Well, we saw with the government shutdown. We're like, all right, well, let's. I use the term medically induced coma to keep it from doing more harm to itself. All right, then let's conduct some oversight and hold these people accountable because Congress holds the purse. Now, how do we do that? We control one chamber of the House because in order for any legislation to pass, for budgets to pass, for funding to be approved, it has to pass both chambers, which is the House and the Senate. And this is kind of like a civics lesson for folks. And then it gets to the president. If the Republicans don't want to, if they want it passed, they have, if simple numbers, it's just math. All they need is just one extra vote. Now, the Senate, it gets a little trickier and blah, blah, blah. But you have to control one chamber of the House. So in November of 2026, we have to get out and vote Republicans out and put the Democrats back in the majority. Now, when the Democrats are back in the majority, we have to make sure there are Democrats there that realize what's at stake and realize that, hey, we not just going to, it ain't no common ground. I'm not looking for
Thank you.
common ground. We're not here to find
Thank
a
you.
medium about voting rights or a medium about gun control no.
No. No.
What y'all doing is rogue and reckless and it must be reined in, period. Like no, like stop. We need a full reset on this. So we need to make sure we're putting people in Congress that understand the assignment, as the young folks say. Y'all
Yeah.
understood the assignment.
Yeah.
Then shoot, I'm all for impeaching articles of impeachment for Donald Trump every week for the next 2 years. When you control the House, bring article, make him fight it every 2 weeks. I mean, every week I am introducing new articles of impeachment against Donald Trump because, like, this is wrong. This is wrong.
he likes making records, like, he can be the
Yep.
most impeached. I mean, he
Most
already is the
impeachment.
most
Let's do
impeached.
it. Let's
The
do it.
mostest
And
impeached.
he knows it too because he said it. He
Yeah.
said, if the Democrats take back the House, they'll impeach me. But don't threaten us with a good time. Let's do
Yeah.
it then. That should be
Sounds
enough
great.
motivation right there.
And I'd just like to add, if we can, like, squeeze it in, I think a national strike would definitely help as well, because the corporations that are behind all of these social media platforms, the NRA, all of these millions and billion-dollar backed industries that are ushering this fascism and trying to put us all under surveillance and under control. I think a general national strike is needed as well. Minneapolis started that on Friday, I believe they started striking. And I think we need to carry that across all of the country, because I think it would literally take less than a month of all of us coming together and doing that to halt this shit. We have to, like, hit them where it hurts, and that's in the pocketbook, I think.
I just hope Americans have the wherewithal, like
Yeah. But that's the thing. So a lot of time, like I'm all for. I'm no economist, so I don't know how it works.
yeah,
But if they say it
me
works,
neither.
like let's do it, right? Oh yeah, I'm all for trying different measures to do whatever to make these people. Yeah, because a lot of times they don't realize what they understand. The bottom line, they understand the green, the dollar, and once they start losing money, they're like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, like, and we saw it with Target. Target when they rolled back their DEI, they started taking walloping. Tesla too. They started
Yep.
taking a walloping. Now, Elon has way too much arrogance to ever change his policy, and he don't care how much money he lose. He's just gonna say he's right, whatever. But a lot of people, so I get it, but like you said, you have to have the wherewithal to stay in it, and realize which a lot of people don't, and I get it. Like if you don't want to buy from Amazon, but you need X, Y, and Z, and you have to. I get it. Sometimes it's like, all right, this ain't about. I'm supporting you. I'm not supporting you. I'm making sure that I am able to survive. So I think with the blackout and things like that, there have to be other alternatives for people to continue to survive, because a lot of times people depend on their toilet paper deliveries from Amazon or, Amazon Fresh getting food or whatever it may be. So if there are clear alternatives, we need to make those clear to people. And I feel like that's a bigger movement, but I'm all for it though.
Yeah. I mean, something's gotta give. I do feel like what happened on Saturday, you even have my friend was saying, even like normies who aren't political are talking about it. They might not be posting about it yet, but I do think and everyone's home. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not in California, y'all got your sunny, nice days, but in a lot of the country, we're all home. People are scrolling. It's unavoidable, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully more people.
On snow days, especially on
Yeah,
snow days, people get it. And like you said, ain't no snow in California, right?
yeah. California, you guys are already woke. You guys are already woke. But
Y'all
like
got it. Y'all got it.
some of us on this coast, people are just like they're busy, like they know, oh, something's weird's going on in Minneapolis. That woman was shot. But like I feel like eventually more and more people are gonna pay attention. And it's like,
We can't normalize it though. Like that's the
no,
thing.
no, no.
Again, this is the second time that it's been, like for example, let's go back to George Floyd. A lot of people that were aware of, the violence, the targeted violence against minorities, inner cities, and stuff like that. We were all aware that growing up in an inner city or urban areas that you had a higher probability, especially being a man of, or yes, a man of color, you had a higher probability of running in with law enforcement and potentially losing your life than somebody who lived in the rural states or whatever. And people, we knew that, but and we would always talk about it. We were always up in arms like this shouldn't be fair. They're targeting, specific demographics of people. But then when it was caught on camera and the world saw it, they got to see what a lot of us were complaining about. And now we're seeing it live on TV, the assassinate or not assassination, the murder of Renee Nicole Good and the gentleman that was murdered on Saturday in Minnesota. We can't normalize this. We have to always, every time we see something like that, we have to react as as it's insane the first time as it is the next time because it will happen again. And I hate to say that. And it can be anybody. We've seen it be a white man and we've seen it be a white woman. Like those were the safe demographics, right?
Yeah,
I mean, allegedly, but
yeah,
nobody is safe right now with this administration operating with the lawlessness that they are.
yeah. So, and that's why we need to continue to stay together, both online, offline. Harry, tell everyone, I mean, you have such a wide audience, but just to remind people, when is your podcast? I feel like if I turn on the TV, you're there. When I go on Substack, you're there. I'm like, Harry, tell me
Listen,
things are going to be okay. Tell me.
I just like to show up, and that's what we
Yeah.
need, people. And I was just a guy, man. I was a career police officer for close to 16 years, and I just wanted nobody knew who I was prior to January 6th. And, I was fine with that. I was happy doing my job and serving my country and keeping my community safe. That's what I was happy with, and I enjoyed it. But when the moment called, unfortunately, that I didn't ask for, you got to show up. And I think that's what this country is craving now. It's just people that are going to stand up and meet the moment. So I'm honored and humbled every time people tell me how much they think of me. It's just like, yo, I'm just a regular dude that likes playing Call of Duty and drinking bourbon. So, that's all I like. But I'm on Substack, obviously on the Siren Network. My podcast, Pours and Perspectives, on Blue Sky, because I refuse to use that hell site Twitter over there, but on Blue Sky at Libra Dunn, and on Instagram and Threads, Libra Dunn also. And yeah, that's where I am.
We're
Thank
so
you.
appreciative of you using your platform, your voice, your soul to just inspire people to continue in this fight against them. And we just really want to thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
You got it. I appreciate y'all.